Officer Luke Tanner put the yellow toe tag on the front brake lever before he asked for a license. Camille Brooks saw the tag hanging there against the matte black Ducati. The engine was already off. Her left boot was on the curb. Her right leg was still half over the seat. Helmet under one arm. Other hand open. Meridian Boulevard kept moving around them. Cars rolled through the light. A city bus hissed at the stop up the block. A woman came out of Dawson's pharmacy with 2 white bags and slowed down when she saw the cruiser lights. Owen Price stayed near the hood of the patrol car. He was younger, thin through the shoulders, hands low near his vest. Luke Tanner looked at the bike. He went around it once. Slow. Rear plate. Front forks. Tank. Brake lever. Then, back to the tag. "Why is there a toe tag on my bike?" Camille said. Luke bent near the rear plate and pressed his shoulder mic. "Keep one unit close. Possible stolen vehicle hold." The radio cracked once. No return came through. Camille shifted the helmet to her other hand. The strap slipped against her glove. She caught it against her hip and fixed her grip. "Why are you tagging it before you verify anything?" she said. Luke straightened up. "We received a report. Bike matching this description was involved in a theft earlier today." "What report number?" "You can answer questions in a minute." "I asked for the report number." Owen looked down at the pavement. Luke stepped closer to the Ducati. He lifted the helmet from her hand with one finger through the chin strap. He hung it over the mirror. "License and registration," he said. "In the left storage compartment," Camille said. "Before I open it, I want the report number." Luke looked at her face, then back at the bike. "You want to make this difficult?" "No. I want you to slow down." He pressed the mic again. "Advise tow to stage 1 block out." The radio clicked. Still nothing back on the theft report. At the far end of the block, a white tow truck nose eased out from a side street and stopped at the corner. Camille looked at the truck, then back at Luke. "I have identification in that side compartment," she said. "You tell me when to reach. I'll open it slow." Luke's hand touched the snap on his holster. "Don't move." She stopped where she was. Both hands came up a little higher, palms out. A horn sounded behind the cruiser. Traffic kept sliding past in short gaps. Owen shifted his weight. He looked toward the tow truck, then at Luke, then down again. The woman from the pharmacy had stopped walking now. Her bags were on the sidewalk by her shoes. Her phone was in her hand, but still pointed down. Luke looked at the compartment latch, then at Camille, then at the toe tag hanging off the brake lever. "Step away from the bike," he said. Camille looked once at the side compartment, then at the tow truck. Then she took one step back from the Ducati and kept her hands where he could see them. "Good," Luke said. "Now turn around." She stayed facing him. "My identification is in that compartment. Turn around. There is no reason to tow this bike." Luke took one more step in. His boot stopped inches from the front wheel. The yellow tag moved a little in the heat. The radio on his shoulder stayed quiet. Owen cleared his throat once and said nothing. Camille kept her voice flat. "You have not given me a report number." Luke did not answer that. He pointed at the pavement beside the curb. "Stand there." She moved to the spot he pointed to. Leather jacket half-zipped. One cuff strap still loose from the ride. A line of sweat had started under the collar and was running down between her shoulder blades. The tow truck stayed at the corner with its light bar off. The driver kept the truck straight and waiting. The woman across the street raised her phone. This time, she held it up. The camera faced the curb. Luke. The Ducati. The tag on the brake lever. Owen saw the phone and looked away from it. Camille saw that too. Luke spoke into the mic again. "Unit on scene. Driver not confirming ownership. Tow is staged." That got Owen's head up. He looked at Camille, looked at the side compartment, looked at Luke. Camille did not move. "My papers are in the bike," she said. Luke reached for her wrist. She pulled neither forward nor back. He took the wrist anyway. His other hand was already reaching for the cuffs on his belt. The woman across the street did not lower her phone. The tow truck stayed where it was. The tag was still on the brake lever. The theft report still had not come back over the radio. Luke took Camille's wrist and turned her toward the curb. She did not pull against him. Her other hand stayed up where both officers could see it. "My identification is in the side compartment," she said. Luke brought her free hand behind her back. "Save it for the station." The cuffs closed. Metal touched leather first, then skin. Camille set her feet and kept her shoulders square. Owen looked once at the tag on the brake lever, then at the tow truck, then at Luke's hand on the cuffs. He still said nothing. Across the street, the woman from the pharmacy moved closer to the edge of the sidewalk. Her phone stayed up. The frame had all of it now. The bike, the tag, the tow truck at the corner. Luke with one hand on Camille's arm. Camille turned her head enough to speak without fighting the hold. "You are holding me before you verified the vehicle." Luke walked her 2 steps away from the Ducati. "You can explain it downtown." "There is nothing to explain." "Run the plate." He did not answer that. He looked at Owen. "Clear the bike." Owen did not move right away. "The compartment has her papers," he said. Luke kept his eyes on Camille. "Clear the bike." Owen went to the left side panel. He stopped with his hand near the latch. Camille spoke toward him. Not loud. "Open it slow. My wallet is on top. Badge case under it." Luke's head turned. "Do not touch that compartment." Owen pulled his hand back. The side panel stayed closed. The woman on the sidewalk took another few steps forward. One of the pharmacy bags brushed her calf. She did not look down. A delivery van rolled past and slowed with the rest of traffic. 2 men in the cab looked over as they went by. Luke keyed his shoulder mic again. "Subject detained. Vehicle pending hold." The radio answered with road noise first, then dispatch. "Unit. No active theft. Return on that plate at this time. Stand by for vehicle number." Owen looked up. Camille looked at Luke. The tow truck stayed where it was. Luke pressed the mic at once. "Copy. Keep the tow close." That was the choice. Dispatch had given him room to stop. He kept moving. Camille shifted her weight because the cuffs had settled high on one wrist. "My papers are in the bike," she said again. "You have enough to verify me right now." Luke walked her toward the cruiser. "Watch your step." The words came out flat. "Routine." He opened the rear door. The woman across the street lowered one pharmacy bag and said, "Officer, I'm recording this." Luke looked over at her. "For your safety, stay back on the sidewalk." She stayed where she was. The phone stayed up. Camille bent and sat into the back seat without being pushed. The door stayed open. She turned enough to keep Luke in view. "There is no theft return," she said. "We're not done. You were not done when you tagged the bike." Luke shut the door. The window cut the next thing she said into a softer shape. Her mouth still moved. Owen was at the Ducati again. Not touching it. Just standing near it. The yellow tag hung against the matte black paint. The tow truck driver leaned forward behind his wheel and waited for a hand signal that did not come. Dispatch came back over the radio. "Unit. Vehicle number not entered yet. Need full read when ready." Owen read the number from the frame. He read it clean. Dispatch repeated it back. The pause after that stretched over the curb. The cruiser hood. The front wheel. And the tag. Then dispatch answered. "Vehicle returns to Camille Brooks. No theft entry. Registration current." Owen stood still with the mic in his hand. The woman across the street kept filming. A second phone was out now. One of the men from the delivery van had parked half a block down. Luke did not look at any of them. He walked to the Ducati and took the yellow tag off the brake lever. He folded it once and put it in his shirt pocket. Then he opened the side compartment himself. Wallet on top. Badge case under it. He looked at both. His face did not change. Owen had turned toward him now. "What do you want to do?" Owen said. Luke closed the compartment. He held the wallet and the badge case in one hand. Then he looked toward the cruiser where Camille was sitting behind glass with both hands locked behind her back. "Drive," he said. Owen looked at the compartment. Then, at the woman recording, then at the badge case in Luke's hand. He opened the driver door anyway. Luke got into the passenger seat with a wallet and the badge case still in his hand. The tow truck pulled away from the corner and kept going. The woman on the sidewalk followed the cruiser with her phone until it turned out into traffic. In the back seat, Camille sat upright and looked through the cage toward the dash. The radio, the street names, the time display. The badge case was still in Luke's hand. He had the name, he had the plate return, he had the registration. The cruiser moved off Meridian Boulevard and headed toward the station. The cruiser turned into the rear lot and stopped by the intake door. Owen got out first. Luke opened the back door. Camille stepped down on her own. Her hands were still behind her back. The wallet and badge case were still with Luke. Inside, the front desk sat under hard white lights. A desk fan turned from side to side. A half-full coffee cup sat beside the keyboard. Sergeant Fuller looked up when they came in. He saw the cuffs first, then the riding jacket, then the badge case in Luke's hand. "What do you have?" Fuller said. Luke set the wallet on the counter. Detained driver off Meridian. Possible stolen vehicle hold. Refused to confirm ownership at the scene. Camille stood straight beside the counter. "My name is Camille Brooks," she said. "My identification is in that badge case. My registration came back current on the road." Fuller looked at Luke. Luke put the badge case on the counter but kept one hand on it. "We were still sorting that out." Camille turned her head enough to face Fuller. "I asked for the report number before he tagged the bike. I asked again before the tow was called. Dispatch cleared the plate before we left the curb." Fuller pulled the badge case toward him. Luke did not stop him. The case opened with a short snap. Fuller looked down. Then he looked at Camille again. Then back at the case. He set it flat on the counter and moved the keyboard closer. "Spell your last name," he said. "Brooks. Brook. Z." He typed with 2 fingers. The room stayed on the sound of keys. Paper. Radio traffic from the wall speaker. And the front door opening and closing somewhere behind intake. Owen stood near the file cabinet. He had taken his hat off. It stayed in his hand. Fuller's eyes moved across the screen once, then back across it again. He leaned closer. The keyboard stopped. Camille watched the screen light on his glasses. Luke stayed beside the counter with both hands on his belt. "What does it say?" he asked. Fuller did not answer right away. He clicked once. "Read again." Then he turned the monitor a few inches away from the public side and said, "Her record is confirmed." Camille said nothing. Luke shifted his weight. She was not confirmed on the street. The plate was, Camille said. Luke looked at her. Then back at Fuller. "The compartment had not been cleared. My papers were in the compartment you told your partner not to open." Fuller picked up the desk phone. "Hold on." He dialed an extension. His eyes stayed on the screen while it rang. "I need Commander Holloway at intake," he said. "Right now." He hung up. No one filled the space after that. The wall speaker pushed out another call from another part of the county. A printer near the side desk fed out one page and stopped. Owen set his hat on the file cabinet. Camille rolled one shoulder because the cuff had settled wrong during the ride. Fuller noticed. He stood, came around the desk, and unlocked the cuffs without comment. Camille brought her hands forward slowly. She flexed one wrist once. The mark around the bone had started to show. Fuller stepped back to the counter. Luke looked at the open badge case, then at Fuller, then at Camille. She kept pushing the stop. He said. She kept reaching the scene ahead of instruction. Camille put both hands on the counter where everyone could see them. "I said my identification was in the left side compartment. I said it more than once. I asked him to run the report number. I asked him to verify the vehicle before the tag stayed on it." Fuller pulled a blank incident sheet from a tray. He slid it onto the counter. "Say that again." Camille repeated it the same way. "Short. Clean. No extra words." Fuller wrote as she spoke. Luke stayed where he was. Owen looked at the floor. The side door opened, and Commander Grant Holloway came through from the hallway offices. Broad shoulders, gray at the temples, uniform shirt still buttoned to the collar. He did not start with Luke. He went to the counter first. Fuller turned the monitor toward him. Then the badge case. Then the blank form with Camille's statement in fresh ink. Holloway read the screen. Read the case. Read the form. Then he looked at Camille's wrist. Not long. Just enough. Miss Brooks, he said. Camille Brooks. He nodded once. I'm going to ask one direct question. Did you identify where your papers were before the tow unit was staged? Yes. More than once? Yes. Holloway turned to Owen. Owen looked up. His mouth opened. Closed. Then he said, Yes. Sir. Luke looked at him. Owen did not look back. Holloway held out his hand. Give me the wallet. Luke passed it over. Now the badge case. Luke passed that too. Holloway set both on the counter beside the written sheet. Then he looked at Fuller. Call legal. He looked at the wall clock. Then at Camille. After that, place a call to the Atlanta field office listed on her credentials. Luke spoke from the side of the counter. Commander. At the time of the stop. She was not cleared. Holloway did not raise his voice. The plate was cleared on the road. The registration was current. The tow was already staged. I have enough for intake to stop right here. He picked up the written sheet. From this point on, everything is documented. Camille stood with both hands flat on the counter. Luke said nothing after that. Fuller reached for the phone again. Owen moved one step away from the file cabinet and stayed there. On the counter, the badge case stayed open. The screen stayed on Camille Brooks. The incident sheet stayed under Holloway's hand. The stop had reached the part that lived on paper. Commander Holloway took Camille into the office behind intake and closed the door. He put her wallet and badge case on the desk between them. The written sheet Fuller had started stayed on top. A legal pad sat beside the phone. Holloway called the number on her credentials first. He did not use the speaker. He gave his name, gave the department, gave the stop location. Then he listened. Camille stood near the chair until he pointed to it. She sat. Both hands stayed in her lap. Her riding gloves were still tucked in one pocket. Her left wrist showed a dark line where the cuff had ridden high. Holloway finished the call and set the phone down. Your office is sending someone to pick you up, he said. Camille nodded once. I want the stop sheet preserved, she said. The radio log, the plate return, the tow dispatch, intake camera. Holloway wrote each item on the pad. It's being held. Also, the phone video from the woman across the street. He looked up. You know her? No. She called the front desk while you were in intake, he said. She said she has the whole curbside contact. Camille put one hand flat on the chair arm. Good. Holloway wrote that down too. Luke Tanner did not come into the office. Owen Price did once. Only long enough to hand Holloway a short property slip and leave. He did not look at Camille when he crossed the doorway. By the time her pickup arrived, the front counter had changed shape. Fuller had a second form out. A printed plate return sat clipped to one side. The badge case was no longer in Luke's hand. It was back with Camille. She signed one line, then another, then took her wallet, her badge case, and her gloves. No one mentioned the tow tag. No one mentioned that the tow truck had already been staged before dispatch cleared the plate. Outside, the afternoon had gone lower. A black sedan from the Atlanta office was waiting at the curb. Deputy Director Aaron Cole was in the back seat. He did not ask for a story on the sidewalk. He opened the door and said, Get in. Camille got in. The car pulled away from the station. Only after they cleared the next light did Cole speak. Started the tag. Camille gave it to him in order. The curb, the brake lever, the tow truck, the compartment, the plate return, the intake desk. She did not add to it. She did not shorten it either. Cole took notes in a small pad he kept against one knee. When she finished, he closed the pad and looked out the window. They tagged the bike first, he said. Yes. They staged the tow before the plate came back. Yes. He nodded once. That stays clean on paper. He dropped her at home just before dark. The Ducati came later on a flatbed from the station lot. Not from the county impound yard. From the side lot behind intake. A civilian driver lowered it. Got a signature. And left. Camille rolled the bike into the garage herself. The yellow toe tag was not on it anymore. A faint bend still showed in the front brake lever where it had been looped through. Her phone started moving while she was closing the garage door. Text. Call. Then another call. Then a message from an unknown number with a video link. She opened it at the kitchen table. The woman from the sidewalk had posted the whole curbside stop. The caption was short. Meridian Boulevard, today. Watch the tag before anything is verified. Camille watched the video once through. Luke at the bike. The tag on the lever. The tow truck waiting at the corner. Her own hands up in plain view. The view from across the street made the order cleaner than the stop had felt at the curb. Tag first. Radio next. Tow truck after that. Her phone kept moving. One local station had already picked it up. A second clip came in 10 minutes later. This time, from the department steps. Sheriff Paul Barrett stood at a podium and called the stop a traffic matter still under review. He did not mention the tow tag. Did not mention the staged truck. Did not mention the plate return coming back clean before the cruiser left Meridian. At her door the next morning, Julia Marsh stood with a legal pad, a hard file box, and a cup of coffee gone cold in one hand. Camille, let her in. Julia put the box on the table and opened it. Inside were 3 older complaints from the same stretch of Meridian Boulevard. 1 sedan. 1 company. Van. 1 sport bike. Each stop ended with a tow request starting before ownership was fully checked. Same corridor. Same towing company. Same department. Camille sat. Julia stayed standing. We billed the line from the tag. Julia said. Camille pulled the video back up on her phone and set it beside the file box. Julia opened to a clean page. Then we start there, she said. Julia spread the 3 older complaints across Camille's kitchen table and kept the video paused on her phone beside them. The frame showed Luke Tanner at the curb. The yellow tag was already on the brake lever. The tow truck was still at the corner. Julia touched the screen once. That stays first, she said. Camille sat across from her with a notebook open and a pen in her hand. She did not start with her own stop. She started with the names in the box. Bernard Ellis, Tanya Reed, Marcus Velez. 3 different drivers. 3 different vehicles. 3 different dates. Same stretch of Meridian Boulevard. Each file had the same shape in the middle. A stop. A claim that ownership still needed to be sorted out. A tow request moving before the paperwork was fully checked. Julia opened Bernard Ellis first. Retired school principal. Late model Escalade. Stopped near the pharmacy 6 months earlier. The reason listed on the field contact sheet was equipment concern. The tail light had already been repaired. He had a receipt in the glove box. The truck still went on a hook before the repair receipt was logged. Camille wrote 1 line in the notebook. Tao moved before verification closed. Julia opened the second file. Tanya Reed, catering owner, delivery van. Stopped on Meridian on a Monday morning. Identification in hand. Business registration in the van. Tao requested while she was still being told to stand by the rear doors. The hold did not last long. The contract she missed that morning did. Camille wrote the second line. Tao request before ownership file was finished. The third file was Marcus Velez. Sport bike. Bought with savings from a warehouse job. Stopped near the same corridor on a warm Friday evening. The bike was listed for hold before the engine had fully cooled. Tao company arrival time sat on the sheet in black ink. It was too fast for a normal call from that distance. Camille wrote the third line. Truck already near the corridor. Julia looked at the 3 notes in the notebook. Then at the paused video on the phone. Then at Camille. This is not 3 bad afternoons, she said. Camille turned the video volume down and let it play again without sound. Luke at the curb. The tag first. The call next. The truck already waiting. We need the company, Camille said. Julia reached into the file box and pulled out one more folder. Inside was a county vendor printout and a photocopy of a towing invoice. Meridian Recovery Services. Same company in all three older files. The same company on Camille's release paperwork from the side lot. Julia slid the invoice across the table. Camille read the line twice. Standby fee. Scene approach fee. Administrative hold prep. The bike had not left the curb. The paper was built as if it had. She opened her laptop and went into the county vendor registry. The contract came up under a buried tab with old bid records and renewal notices. Meridian Recovery Services held the exclusive towing contract for that part of the county. Renewed twice. No competing bid listed on the last renewal. Julia set the cold coffee down near the sink and came back to the table. Read the owner. Camille read the registration line on the screen. Darren Pike. Business address, outside the county line. Mailing address tied to a second lot 3 roads off Meridian. She opened the property records next. Then the business filings. Then the county committee minutes attached to the contract renewal. 2 signatures from department officials were on the approval page. One was from Sheriff Barrett's office. The other came from the operations division that handled impound coordination. Julia pulled a fresh page from her pad. Now line up the dates. Camille did. Bernard Ellis. Tow record. Storage invoice. Release delay. Tanya Reed. Tow request. Hold entry. Business loss note in her complaint. Marcus Vellers. Tow dispatch. Bike intake form. Fee sheet. Then Camille's own stop. Tow staged before the vehicle number was read back. The pattern stayed the same every time. Tow first. Verification later. If later came at all. A knock hit the front door while Camille was writing the 4th page. Denise Harper stood outside with the pharmacy video on a tablet and a small folder under one arm. She stepped in, set the folder on the table, and opened it. Inside were 2 more handwritten statements from people who had seen tow trucks waiting near Meridian before stops were finished. Not stories. Not speeches. Dates. Corners. Vehicle types. Company names on the truck doors. Camille read both and passed them to Julia. Julia stacked them with the other files and kept one hand on the pile. The line is getting cleaner, she said. Camille looked at the paused frame on the tablet. The tag on the brake lever. Luke at the curb. The truck at the corner. Then she looked at the county contract on her laptop. The same road. The same company. The same first move. She wrote one more line in the notebook and boxed it in. Property hold started before ownership check closed. That line stayed at the top of the next page. By late afternoon, the kitchen table held 5 complaint files. 1 phone video. 1 tablet video. County contract records. Vendor filings. And a growing list of dates from Meridian Boulevard. Julia closed the top folder and tapped the notebook once. We have the corridor, she said. Camille nodded. Now we need someone from inside. Camille had the county contract open on her laptop when her phone lit up with an unknown number. Julia was still at the table. Denise Harper had just left with the tablet under her arm. Camille looked at the screen once and answered. This is Brooks. A man's voice came through, low and close to the phone. It's Owen Price. Camille picked up her pen. Julia did not speak. She only pulled her legal pad closer. I'm listening, Camille said. Owen stayed quiet long enough for road noise to fill the line. Then he said, There was no theft report on your bike. Camille wrote the sentence down exactly. No report number at all. No. What did he have? Nothing on paper. He saw the bike. That was it. Julia wrote the same line on her pad. Camille kept her voice flat. Say it clean. Owen exhaled into the phone. When we turned onto Meridian, he saw your Ducati and said it would be a good hold. That came before any dispatch return. Before any report. Before anything. Camille wrote that down too. At the far end of the table, the county vendor printout stayed beside the paused sidewalk video. The tag on the brake lever was still the first thing in the frame. What else? Camille said. Owen did not answer right away. Then he said, There's a folder on the shared drive. Julia looked up. Camille did not. What kind of folder? Not official case files. Just a running list. Stops with value. Cars. Bikes. Corridors. Rough numbers. Who made the stop? What got held? He stopped there. Camille let the line stay open. What do you call it? She asked. We call it productive stops. Julia wrote the phrase down and underlined it once. Camille looked at the screen on her laptop. Meridian Recovery Services. Exclusive contract. Same corridor. Same first move. How long has it been there? She asked. Longer than I've been in patrol. Can you access it now? Yes. Can you copy it? Owen breathed out again. I can try. Julia slid her pad across the table so Camille could see one line written large. Keep him talking, Camille said. Then try. There's more. Owen said. She waited. The folder doesn't just track the stop. It tracks the estimate. Value. Storage. Sometimes, whether tow is already near the corridor. Camille wrote slower on that one. Each word had to stay clean. No extra weight. Only what he said. Who has access? She asked. Luke. 2 others. A sergeant. Sometimes dispatch notes get mirrored into it. Not official. Just enough to move quick. Julia took the phone from speaker range and pushed it a little closer to Camille. Camille asked one more question. Was my bike in that folder before Saturday? The road noise on Owen's side changed. A turn signal clicked once, then stopped. Yes, he said. Julia looked at Camille. Camille kept writing. When? Friday. Late shift. Matte black Ducati. Meridian corridor. High value. That sat on the page in dark ink. Not a theory. Not a guess. A line from someone inside. Can you send it? Camille asked. Not tonight. Why not? Because if I touch it wrong, they'll see it. Julia wrote another line. Ask what changed at the station. Camille said. You saw the clean plate return. You saw the registration. Why are you calling now? Owen answered, without fixing the order of his words first. Because once we got back, Luke still had your badge case in his hand and kept talking like the stop was still open. Then Commander Holloway came down, and the whole room changed. Camille looked at the kitchen window. The garage light was still on. Her Ducati sat behind that wall with the front brake lever slightly bent where the tag had been looped through. He could have stopped at the curb. She said. Yes. He could have stopped when dispatch cleared the plate. Yes. He could have stopped when the compartment stayed closed. Owen said nothing to that. Camille let the line hold. Then he said, I know. She wrote those 2 words too. What do you need from me? He asked. Right now. Keep the phone you're using. Don't delete messages. Don't open that folder from a department terminal unless you know exactly what you're doing. Owen was quiet again. Then he said, I can get you something tomorrow. Then call tomorrow. The line went dead. Julia turned her pad around. Under Owen's words, she had already built the next column. Folder. Value. Tow already near corridor. Bike flagged Friday. Inside source puts the bike in the list before the stop. Julia said. Camille capped her pen. We still need the file. Julia nodded. They did not get it the next day. By noon, Owen had not called. By afternoon, the shared drive folder had been wiped. Not moved. Not renamed. Wiped. That part came from a county tech contact Julia trusted enough to write down. The contact would not say it twice. Would not put it in an email. Would not meet in the office. Only one line over a parking lot call. It was cleaned fast. And somebody knew what mattered. Camille wrote that down under Owen's statement. By early evening, Owen called back. Same number. Same low voice. Different shape to the words. I need to correct what I said yesterday, he told her. Camille did not interrupt him. After speaking with counsel, I can't characterize the stop that way. Julia was already writing before he finished the sentence. The folder, Camille asked. I can't confirm it. The theft report. I can't discuss dispatch beyond the official log. Camille looked at the first page she had written the night before. No theft report. Productive stops. Bike flagged Friday. Tao already near corridor. Everything was still there in her notebook. Not on his mouth now. On paper. I understand, she said. Owen stayed on the line a moment longer. Then he said one thing without legal wording around it. This is bigger than I thought. Then he hung up. Julia closed her pad. The folder is gone, she said. Camille looked at the paused video again. Luke at the curb. Tag first. Tao next. Verification after. He still gave us the shape of it, she said. Julia nodded once. Then we go find where the shape got copied. Then we go find where the shape got copied. Julia said it at Camille's kitchen table. She left an hour later with the notes. The vendor records. And the 2 pages from Owen's first call copied by hand. Camille stayed up after that. Not pacing. Not staring at the wall. Working. She laid the sidewalk video beside the county contract. Put the clean plate return under that. Put the intake sheet beside the tow invoice. Then she wrote one line across the top of a fresh page. Tag first. Verification after. At dawn. Aaron Cole called from Atlanta. Camille answered on the first ring. I need your county tech contact name, he said. She gave him the name Julia had used. Cole did not ask for the story again. He already had it. By midday, a federal forensic analyst named Wade Arden was on a secure line with Julia. Not county. Not patrol. Not someone inside that building. Atlanta. Camille listened from the other end of Julia's office speaker while Wade kept his words short. The shared drive was cleaned on the local side. He said, but the county contractor used off-site cloud backup. The wipe order did not reach the backup copy. Julia leaned over her pad. Can you hold chain on it? Yes. What's in it? Wade clicked through something on his end. Then he answered. A running folder. Vehicle type. Corridor. Estimated value. Tau notes. Hold notes. Officer names. Dates. 4 years. Camille looked at Julia. Neither of them spoke while Wade kept reading. Then he stopped on one line. Matte black Ducati. Meridian corridor. High value. Friday entry. Target note added before the curbside stop. Julia wrote it down exactly. Camille took the pen from beside her own hand and circled one word only. Before. By evening, the recovered folder sat in a clean federal evidence package with the cloud log, the recovery path, and the backup metadata attached to it. The county could say a lot of things about a stop. It could not move the timestamp. The line on Camille's bike had gone in the day before Luke Tanner ever hit the lights. That changed the frame. The sidewalk video showed the tag first. The plate return showed the vehicle was clean. The recovered folder showed the bike had already been marked. The county towing records came next. Julia subpoenaed Meridian Recovery Services through the civil filing she had already prepared. The company sent dispatch sheets. Not all at once. Not clean either. But enough. 38 tow dispatches lined up against the recovered stop folder. Bernard Ellis. Tanya Reed. Marcus Velez. Camille Brooks. Same corridor. Same first move. Tau closed before ownership closed. By the next morning, Julia carried the full set to the federal building. The video. The clean plate return. The intake sheet. The vendor contract. The recovered cloud folder. The tow dispatch sheets. Camille did not go in with her. She stayed outside that room. That part needed lawyers, analysts, and signatures before it needed the person from the curb. Cole came out first. Then Julia. Cole held the file box low by one side. Julia had her pad under her arm. They're opening it. Cole said. He did not make it bigger than that. He did not need to. The first visible change came before the week ended. Monroe County posted a short notice on its public site. The towing agreement with Meridian Recovery Services had been suspended pending external review. 2 days later, the suspension changed to termination. The corridor contract came off the vendor list. The intake gate at the county lot stopped taking Meridian recovery codes. Camille checked it herself. Darren Pike's company name was gone. After that, the rest came in pieces. The federal filing moved under seal first, then not under seal. Sheriff Barrett's office stopped using the phrase routine traffic matter. Luke Tanner did not appear on the next posted shift board. Owen Price did. Not Luke. The county said it was an administrative adjustment. The record board at the station said only unavailable. His state certification file had been flagged for outside review. His access to the impound intake system no longer showed active. The next equipment sheet showed his body camera assigned to another unit. The revised intake memo required a completed ownership return before any standby tow code could clear. Camille's stop file had been moved from traffic contact to preserved evidence. The standby tow charge tied to her bike no longer showed on the county ledger. The community fund came later. That was built from seized account holds tied to Meridian Recovery Services and 2 related business names pulled from the contract records. Vehicles that could still be located were released back. Vehicles that had already moved too far into the system were assigned fair market review. Marcus Velez's bike appeared on one of the first release sheets. Bernard Ellis's hold fees were removed from the county balance file. Tanya Reed's missed contract loss was added to the review packet. Names went onto a list. Files reopened. Hold fees were challenged line by line. The stretch of Meridian that had been feeding that process for years stopped feeding it. Camille went to the press room once. Only once. She did not talk long. She did not retell the whole stop. She stood at the microphone, unfolded one sheet, and read the names of the drivers whose files had been tied to the corridor pattern. Bernard Ellis, Tanya Reed, Marcus Velez, then the rest. When she finished, she folded the sheet and stepped back. No extra line after that. No performance. That afternoon, she rode the Ducati home. Same bike. Same front brake lever with the faint bend still there. She took Meridian on the way. Traffic moved the way it always moved. The pharmacy was still open. The same corner was still there. No tow truck was waiting at it. 3 months later, the public records were cleaner than the county had been on the day of the stop. The federal case file stayed open. The restitution fund was active. The first payment notices had already gone out. The corridor contract was gone. Several old holds had been set aside for review. Luke Tanner's name still did not appear on the posted duty roster. Meridian Recovery Services still did not return to the vendor page. That was the part that stayed. Not the talk. The records. My view on it is simple. The whole thing turned on one small move made too early. A yellow tow tag went on a brake lever before the facts were checked. After that, paper had to either support the move or expose it. This time, it exposed it. If this story held your attention, put your thoughts in the comments. Share it with somebody who notices the small steps that change everything. And subscribe to Black Tales Exposed for the next story.